Shawn, today we're talking about first-time home buyers, and there's a lot of first-time home buyers in the market, and you have some bad news for them, unfortunately. So what's going on with first-time home buyers?
Bad news, guys. You're doing it all wrong. Completely wrong.
Everything?
Some of them are doing it okay.
This is just water, by the way.
Just water. Yeah, red cup. All right. If you're a serious first-time home buyer, stop trolling open houses. I mean, this is kind of a twofold. Number one, it's kind of twofold.
Yeah.
Stop trolling open houses and get a buyer's agent. I mean, first of all, in our market, in Northern Virginia, DC market, it's very competitive on the buyer side. So if you're trolling open houses and that's your main means of finding a place, is looking online and going to the open house, you've already lost. Because my buyer, Matt's buyer, is already under contract. We're getting them in there the first day it comes on the market, second day it comes on the market. We already have a plan together, and we're writing and we're getting it under contract.
Can I play devil's advocate here for a second?
Sure.
So I looked at my last 5 listings, and of those 5 listings, 3 of the buyers came from open houses. I literally talked to them. They were there for maybe 30 minutes. And they all ended up closing on the property, and they were all, I don't know if they were first-time home buyers, but they were all buyers that came to open houses and then ended up closing on the property.
Okay.
What would you say in that scenario?
Did they have an agent already?
All 3 of them did have an agent.
Okay, so that's where they're further ahead. There's a lot of people, the first-time home buyers out there that are trying to do it alone, and then they'll go to X Realty and say, hey, I want to see this house, and type it in, and a buyer's agent shows up.
Yeah.
I think it's the wrong way to go about it. I think you have to find the right buyer's agent because, we're experts in our market, right? And so we know how to get you the property that you want. Learn from us and don't learn the hard way by losing properties, right?
Yeah. Another listing I just had, I went to my open house at 12:30 to set it up, and there was a buyer literally in the lobby. She's like, oh my gosh, I had an appointment at 12 and my agent canceled on me. Can you show me the open house? And I was like, yeah, I'm happy. Like in the elevator, I'm like, I'm so sorry that you had this person cancel on you. How long have you been working with this agent? She's like, oh, I've never met her. This is the first time.
Yeah.
So
they canceled.
So I think what you're getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when you're saying first-time home buyers don't troll open houses, like don't call the listing agent each time you want to see a property.
Yeah, and if you're serious, you're not even going to the open house. I mean, you're going before the open house with your buyer's agent. I mean, that's the thing. Matt, how many times have I canceled a buyer appointment?
Yeah.
How many times? 0. I've never canceled one. I've gone in the snow. I've gone in the rain. I've gone whenever and that's the service that we provide, right? So get a buyer's agent. Stop waiting for the open house. Get in there early, right before anybody else can, and try to steal it off the market. That's what I'm always trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, some listing agents hate that, but at the same time, I'm working for my buyer, so I'm going to try to steal it off the market.
Yeah, and to wrap up this point about the first-time home buyers, I think when you're the buyer's agent, your goal is to get it off the market before the open house. And then obviously if you're the listing agent, your goal is to keep it on the market and to kind of push away all those first-time home buyers.
Yeah, usually, I mean, you want to create competition as a listing agent. As a buyer's agent, I want to pull it off the market as soon as possible. And there's upsides and downsides to both of those, because what if you don't get any other contracts? What if you're the only buyer? But at the same time, I mean, you're trying to get the property that you really want. Let's go after it, right?
What's up, Matt Allen? I see you watching there. All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, so second point, get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Are you not pre-approved yet? I mean, if you're going to open houses and you're, or if you're with an agent, I mean, the first thing you should have done is get pre-approved. We have a lot of great lenders out there, and in my opinion, you go with a local lender, you get pre-approved. That way you know what you can afford. You're not guessing on I make $100,000, I can afford this. You have no idea what you can afford because, what's your debt to income ratio? What type of loan are you going to do? Are you doing VA, FHA, conventional? I mean, and are you buying a condo or are you buying a single family home? So if you're doing FHA financing and you want a condo, you have to look to see if that condo is FHA approved. I mean, there's so many different little things that you have to understand. So back to my point, go get pre-approved. They're going to tell you what you can afford. They're going to show you what you need to come to closing with.
Yeah.
So are you putting 5% down? You're putting 10% down? You're putting 100% financing? Yeah,
that's a good point about the FHA approval, because I've worked with a lot of first-time homebuyers recently where they literally ask me, how much do I need to close on a property? I'm like, hey, listen, you don't need 20%. You don't need to have like $50,000 like lying around. There's 5% down, there's 3.5% down. But as listing agents, we've both gotten contracts and emails where it's FHA financing. Maybe in the same email, the agent, the buyer's agent is asking, hey, is this building FHA approved? So there's so much information out there, but people are just so lazy where they want someone else to do it, and they'll just kind of figure it out along the way. Well, in that time, we're going with that other offer that had cleaner financing. So there's a lot of tools online, but nothing's going to replace doing your homework and doing your research.
Yeah, and going back to finding the right agent, I mean, they're going to know, or they're going to do the research for you on whether you can buy in a certain building. So if you're searching and you love this building, tough luck. You can't even get in there. So,
Yeah.
All right. Number 3.
Next, what do we got?
Save your money.
Saving money.
Save money. I mean, listen, it's not cheap to buy a place, but in the long run, it's such a good investment. And there's people out there like, should we say the guy by name that says, oh, you shouldn't buy real estate?
Oh, no.
Nah, forget it. All right, so there's people that say, oh, you should rent. Well, think about all the people that have rented in this area for years. I mean, my one buddy rented forever, and he lost out on 10 years of increase in value, of equity in your property, of throwing away money.
Was he thinking about moving? Was he starting a family? What was his scenario?
He was just stuck in that loop. Sometimes people get stuck in the loop. But going back to the point is save your money. This is, you can do 100% financing, but if you're competing against somebody that is putting 20% down, you're going to lose. And then there's closing costs on top of that. And if you're a first-time home buyer buying in certain places, we can work in those closing costs into the deal. But, I mean, for the most part, save your money, right?
Yeah. And I don't know how many videos we have to make where we say get pre-approved and save your money and, like, don't go spending lavishly right before you close on a property. If you're watching this and you're like, wow, this is such basic information, I wish they would, like, take me to the... Well, guys, the reason that we're saying this is because these are the biggest mistakes that people are making that we see day in and day out. It's not some crazy, like, it's not a big secret.
Right.
It's just these things. Get pre-approved. People aren't doing that. That's why we keep talking about
it. Sometimes we take things for granted, right? We think people know this stuff, but don't go buy a car right before settlement. I mean, you're killing me. It's debt to income ratio. So if your debt goes up right before closing, guess what? You're in default of the contract because you just screwed up your financing. So, I mean...
Yeah, I had a client recently took out a $9,000 cash advance. You know those those mailers that you get from like Visa where you're pre-approved for $10,000? This dude actually did it a week before closing. Thankfully, we had an amazing local lender that was able to solve that issue. But again, there's... Like, if you're a first-time home buyer, you shouldn't know how good your real estate agent is. You should just be like, oh, that buying process was very simple and very easy and very straightforward.
Yeah. It should be an easy process because we've done this. I've been doing this 15, you've been doing it 5. We know what to get you to do to get you through the process simply, easily, without the headache. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of people that do. I mean, a lot of our friends are really good agents.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of information out there, so everyone's educating themselves, which they should, but then at the same time, they think they can do it themselves, and they think that they're saving money by either using a discount broker or like working with a listing agent so they don't get any representation and they don't get any negotiation at all.
Yeah.
And I think they're missing out on a huge possibility to save a lot of money.
Right. It's not about the rebate that you get from some agencies. It's about the representation and the money I'm going to save you when I write you the right contract, or the agony that I'm going to save you about getting the one that you want and not losing it over and over and over again, right? I mean, there's so many times that I see that. So it's an agonizing thing sometimes in real estate to lose a property, but it happens all the time. You know, even to people that write the best contract. So you want to be prepared on that.
What's up, Jeff? You're asking about my tan suit. It's too expensive. I can't tell you where I got it. What's next on the list?
Okay.
Losing a contract.
No. Let's go to find out where you want to be.
Find out where you want to be.
I mean...
Got the buyers that say...
Hey, I want to be in Northern Virginia.
You want to be in Northern Virginia.
I mean, do a little bit of research before you come. I mean, I can make a search for you that's humongous, but we're going to waste so much time driving around. So drive around the area, find out the neighborhoods that you really like before you have us on this wild goose chase and, flying all over the place. I mean, yeah, you could find the right house, but if you don't like the neighborhood, what's the point of going there? So go there first, ride around the neighborhood, figure out where you want to be, then tell us, hey, I want to be in North Arlington. I want to be in a condo in North Arlington. I want to be wherever.
Yeah.
So we can narrow down that search for you so we're not flailing our arms trying to get you into the right place.
Imagine if the map behind us was just an entire map of Northern Virginia and I was blindfolded and I was just like throwing darts up there. That's what some first-time home buyers are asking, and yeah, I can definitely like tell you about each neighborhood. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in Centerville and in Chantilly and like Clifton, Virginia. But if you're interested in a variety of different neighborhoods, my best advice, and you're not going to like it, is get in your car and drive around those neighborhoods. It's not that hard. And then once we've narrowed it down, the shotgun approach of just spraying out to 20 different neighborhoods in Northern Virginia does not work. The goal is to narrow down the neighborhoods so when a property does come on the market, or when one does come soon and we can see it before it gets on the market, then we hop all over it.
Yeah, that's it. So do your homework before, get all that stuff done. Next point is
What do we got?
the contract, right?
Contract.
So learning to write a solid contract. I know how to write a solid contract. Matt knows how to write it. Buyers don't. First-time home buyers, you're going to learn the hard way so many times. And a lot of times it takes writing a few contracts before you get that, hey, this is what I need to do. I mean, I guess some people don't feel comfortable around some agents, right? Because they feel like, oh, they're being pushed into a certain circumstance. But honestly, what Matt and I and most of the agents that I know, we're here for you, right? And so we're trying to get you into the property. Our advice is we know this market. We know what it takes to get in a seller's market. And so we're going to teach you how to write it. We're going to give you all of the information that you need. It's up to you whether you want to put your neck out there and go that far or not, right?
Yeah, so what'll end up happening if you're a first-time home buyer and you're writing a contract, your friend who already bought a house or your relative or your parents are going to tell their story about what happened when they bought a house a year ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, and maybe it was the same market, maybe it was a different market, but they're going to push whatever insight they think they have onto your contract, and it may end up killing the deal. I was working with one first-time home buyer, and the brother was a real estate investor in like North Carolina, and we literally lost 3 contracts in a row. She never ended up buying just because we were in a competitive market and we wrote like the loosest terms possible. And as an agent, my job is to educate and inform, but honestly, the end decision is going to come down to the client. So if the client keeps wanting to write these like god-awful contracts that no listing agent would take, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to tell them that they're going to lose out if there's another offer on the table.
Yeah, I think sometimes the worst advice you can take is from your family. Take your advice from your real estate agent because we know the market. All right, we know how to write the contract. Your parents or your sister or your brother or whoever bought a house in North Dakota, they have no idea what they're dealing with here. It's a totally different market. So markets are different wherever you are. Find the agent in that area that you want to work with and learn from them.
Yeah, there's really only maybe 5 things in the contract to pay attention to. And if you're not winning a competitive offer situation, it's one of those 5 things. It's not because of your last name. It's not because of your well, sometimes it is because of the lender.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a secret. It's going to be very obvious. So if you keep losing out on deals, you shouldn't blame the agent. You should actually have an honest conversation and say, hey, like, what am I missing here? What aren't we doing? Because it should be very obvious to both parties. And if it's not obvious, there's something wrong there.
Well, yeah, and I mean, contracts get so tight sometimes where it comes down to the lender, right? It comes down to the lender. It comes down to how much you're putting down. It comes down to your earnest money deposit. There's so many little tiny things. How long your contingencies are. All this stuff. I'm not going to go into detail because, we don't want to give all our secrets away. But these things are definitely, it comes down to the wire sometimes. Sometimes you have 2 exact contracts. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Sometimes a letter. Sometimes people write letters.
Personalized letters. They still work.
Yeah, they still do. Number 7, let's see. Number 6, stop online shopping. All right, I know that this is like 2018 and everybody online shops. I do too. But for a house, okay, search online. But I mean,
Dude, I love online shopping.
I do too.
Like my girlfriend, she just loves like going to the mall and like just shopping in person. And I'm just like, I'd rather just sit on my couch. Maybe it's because I'm a millennial. I mean, she's a millennial too. But so what's wrong with online shopping?
Online shopping is fine if you're just looking. Like, I go on Zillow and search different areas, like Florida. If I'm looking for dreaming about a beach house,
You're always dreaming.
I'm always dreaming.
Yeah.
So I'm always dreaming about a lake house, a beach house, whatever it is. So yeah, I'm using, I'm dreaming. I'm online shopping, but I'm dreaming. I'm not in the market. So if you're in the market, yeah, it's good, again, to localize where you want to be and find the house, but don't go online and say, I want to see this house. Can I see it now?
Yeah.
And Mr. Agent shows up and you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So, or she is. Find the agent. Don't just do it online. It's a very personal thing. It's personal for the buyer and the seller. So make it personal.
Yeah.
Make it, worth your while.
The problem is no one wants to create relationships anymore. They just want to have some automated system to do it. And if you just keep going the one-off, you just keep replying to different listing agents, you're going to have a bad time. You're not going to create any meaningful relationships that can help you in the long run with any sort of negotiation, and you're not going to have an efficient home purchasing process.
Yeah, and I think, going into from that point to our last point, and we've already touched on this already, but it goes back to the agent, right? It's not about the rebate that you're getting. It's not about like trying to find the best deal in an agent that you can. It's finding the right agent that'll get you the best deal. And that's going to save you the money. I think that's the biggest tip. Get a good agent. Stop trying to be cheap because you're only going to lose out in the long run. We're going to help you get the right deal. And that's the most important thing.
Cool.
All right?
Is that all good?
All good. So we appreciate you watching.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time. I'm Shawn. This is Matt. We appreciate you watching.
See you next time, guys.
See ya.